Hey guys, what's up? In today's video we are going to make a dub techno track, and it will be kind of a atmospheric dub techno, so there will be delays and effects and all kind of weird thing. And before we start video, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button if you want to get the notification when I make a new video, so that you don't miss anything. So other than that, let's just start. The first thing that we have here is, as usual, the kick. And let me play it for you. Let's play something around there. So it's almost like a bass, but it's also kick. It's very common in the dub techno tracks. Actually, there are no bass at all, like at all. And sometimes even the kick is very weak, but I thought, like, if you blend the bass and the kick all together, mash them, so it gives this kind of really nice ambient low end. But how we did it, I can show you. Let me turn off all these effects so that you can hear the sound. So we have this kind of already basic kick, I will say, and then I was just checking the tuner to see that if it's if it is tuned, because we don't have anything else and it is really bassy. You can definitely hear the, I will say, the bass frequency, so that if it is out of the tune, it will be really, I will say, dissonant. And after that we have a drum bass. It just makes a bit more kicky basically, but we are parallel processing, as you can see, it's only 26%. And then we have OTT, and it makes the sound even a bit richer, a bit subbier as well. Basically magic happens here, I will say. And then finally EQ8, just to slightly cut off these lows here. Nothing too fancy. And in the end we get this kind of really subby bassy kick that fills up the low end. And then we have this guy over here. Let me play it for you. So you heard it right, so this volume is going up and down all the time. I will come to that point later on why I did it this way. But for now, let's turn this off and off and off everything here. We made this sound by using Serum. So if I play again, this nice really belly sound, but there are like a bit effects on top of that, so it is a bit richer than bell sound, I would say, or simple sine wave. The first part is this kind of merge between triangle and sine wave. It's quite simple. Let me do it this way so that you can hear. And then we have this other merge between kind of sawtooth and square wave. Give this kind of really rich high end. And then actually we are using AM synthesis from B. So you see all the difference between these two when you use just AM synthesis for the oscillator A. And then we of course have a cutoff filter here, cutting off these really messy high end. And then we are of course having this plucky envelope for the volume. And then a flanger, giving this kind of movement on the background. And then a chorus, a bit wider, giving this kind of slight detuned feeling. And it's already a nice sound, actually. But what we do, EQ8 here to cut off all these lows, a delay. Gives kind of nice ambient feeling. We don't use the reverb here, basically. I was trying, but it just got too mushy. But here we have the chorus, a glue compressor, another EQ, and final OTD. This is again where the magic happens, and this is my own rack that I built it. It's basically splits the frequency range onto the 4 different bands. If you have seen my previous videos, actually I do this a lot with the FAB filter Pro MB, but in this video I said, okay, I'm not going to use anything else than just Serum for the effects. For the plugins, So I utilize the OTD instead. So what I'm doing actually basically driving the mid and highs slightly so that you get this kind of a bit richer sound. Take a look. Just driving this harmonics so that it gets a bit slightly richer. You can also clearly hear the flanger a bit better in this way. And the volume automation, let's go back to that. We have a utility and actually we have the gain and then we are automizing. So basically the reason for that is we have huge chords here and they occupy too much space, and I didn't want to like put a or mix it, or the basically you can do is actually exaggerate the frequency of this guy and then cut off it from the main lead or the dub techno chords, but I didn't want to do it because dub techno is all about those dub chords basically. So what I did instead, use the volume automation, so when the chords get a bit less louder, I'm voluming up the front melody, and when the top chords are there, and then I'm voluming down the front melody. So you will definitely hear, or let me play it for you so you can understand a bit better. So it's not too huge of a difference, but it still makes sound a bit more pleasant from my perspective. And then we have this guy over here, which is the most important thing in a dub techno. And we have a couple of things going on here. And as I said, dub techno is all about the dub chords and the effects that you use and getting the sound there. Let's turn off all the effects so that you can hear the original sound. And this one, this. So the first thing that I like to do with the dub techno stuff is basically getting kind of a step, which is really rich on the harmonics, but it's still plucky, so that I can use those harmonics with the FX chain so that I can drive them a bit more. But on the other hand, I still want this stabby thing. So what I did here, basically use two different sawtooth. They're slightly different from each other, and then we are using envelope to envelope, similar to each other, but the volume envelope having this a bit slightly different curve so that the volume is still high, or volume is not drastically going down compared to the filter envelope. Volume is going down a bit more slowly, so we can hear this tail even though the filter is closing down faster. And then we have chorus, just to make it a bit more detuned and wider, so that we can use this detune thing in later on. And the other thing that actually I should mention here, detuning the both oscillators slightly opposite way, so that this is like plus 14 and this is minus 14, so they're balancing each other a little bit, which is kind of subtle, but I will say still important. And then we have this effects chain here. The first thing is a delay, and I'm using a delay, and I'm automating the delay as well during the track. I guess I see it here, so that you can definitely see. Let me put it back because it confuses me. Here you can see that I'm opening up the delay so that it will be more delay-ish in the end. But if I come here, slow and really long delay. And then we have this auto filter, just cutting off all the lows, and then we have the reverb. And let me play it with reverb now. Basically where the magic happens, because it puts all this ambience to the sound. But then we have this OTT. Let me play it again. It just adds to these harmonics, I will say, and makes the sound a bit richer. And then we have auto filter here, which is really important as well, because we are playing with this all the time. So that in the beginning it's like closed and under the water, and then we slightly opening it up. and it gets richer and richer. If I go back to the beginning, you see you are opening up, and we have a slight resonance on top of that filter as well. So it gets really rich and nice and puts a lot of ambience to the track. And then finally we have this guy. It is a really slight thing, I would say, but I did actually automate it. There is a lot of automation in this track, in this lead sound. Basically, I'm automating more or less everything, I would say. But I would show this one over here, which one is actually... Let me play this guy over here first so that you understand what's going on. So we have a two chain here. The first chain is the original chain. And the second chain is actually a band filter, and then we are moving band filter around and giving this kind of resonant movement to the sound. If I play here, you will probably hear a bit better. It just adds another layer to the sound. If I play them together, try to hear the resonance on the background. It just gives the sound this slight edge, and it makes it richer, I will say, and I really like it, so just want to show that. And then we have the pad. You don't see pads too often, like this way I did it, but I feel like it just gave a bit tension to the track if I play. And we are using Serum again. This is just high pass filter, and then we have another low pass filter, hyper dimension and distortion. And we are actually also putting a photo distortion, so that there is a movement in the pad sound as well because of that. It just fades up the... Let me play it from the beginning so that you can hear definitely what it does. Without. It just adds a slight tension to the track and just makes it a bit better, I would say. And then we have the clap snare, which is basically snare, not the clap. And if we go back, we have two sounds, and actually they are layered. The first one is this, kind of a bit like on the low end side of the snare, and then we have this guy over here, almost like a shaker, a lot of white noise. Basically we are using this EQ8 to cut off all the lows, so there is just highs, and together they sound like this. This one just fills up. This is a bit too dry, and this one just gives this kind of edge to the sound. And it helps me actually with the OTT. Without OTT it's kind of boring. With OTT, again, I'm driving some of the bands here just to get that richer sound. And then finally a glue compressor just to slide them together as well. And then we have this off-hat sound. Let me play the sound for you. Turn off all the effects. In the beginning it's quite boring sound, like it's just 808 close that almost. But I did actually add a vocoder. Okay, just slight white noise on the background, makes it slightly richer, and then pedal afterwards. And reverb. And then EQ8 to cut off all these lows here. And it gets really dubby, like a little bit environmental, not environment, a little bit ambience, and gives a nice vibe to the track. And then we have the perks, which is different type of sounds. The first one is this one, and second one is this one. Quite organic sounds, I would say, and I'm putting a huge reverb on afterwards so that it gets really richer. And then we are just playing them a bit slightly random, actually, slightly offbeat, so that it gives this randomness to the track. And then we have another percussion here, which is basically clave, and it sounds like this. And the original sound was a bit boring. We did a similar thing here as well. Let me play it. So I wanted to have a bit distortion, a bit like a high-end sound, so I had a pedal and put it on the parallel, so it's not 100%. If I put 100%, it is just too much. I'm slightly distorting it around here. I'm using a loop compressor and then a reverb. So it gets nice and easy. And then we have this shaker over here, which really helps the hi-hat if I play together. Quite dry shaker, so it is just there to help the hi-hat basically. And then finally we have this like talking stuff on the background. So it's basically city sound. I think it was a coffee shop. I just randomly get it from the YouTube, like just typed like a coffee store, or I don't remember even what I wrote, but I just sampled from the YouTube. And just to make it more authentic, I actually played from the speakers and recorded via my microphone, so it get really kind of about ambient noise in the background, like white noises. So it got really nice. So what we did here, utility just making it the mono, and then we have auto filter cutting off super lows, and a glue compressor because sometimes some of people on the background screams or somebody hits the table. So I'm just using glue compressor to even out the levels, and sidechain to the kick, so it gets this a bit slight groove here. And let's play all together, and you can see a little bit the automation as well at the same time. Oops. Yeah, more or less that was it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. Other than that, until next time, goodbye.